Senator from Marshall County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to speak about Senate Bill 451, and I'll save, although my blood pressure is rising a bit, I'm going to save a lot of my comments for the debate. I'll be happy to debate this bill point by point because I support it. But unlike my colleague, the newest member from Logan, just said, I don't mind spending $25 million or $36.2 million and add it all together and getting to $60 million. I haven't seen all the fiscal notes yet, but I don't mind spending the money to fix education. I think it's money well invested, and I think this will help fix education. And we're talking about decimating education. It's broken, it's fractured, it's decimated. Okay, we're last. We're at the bottom, and sometimes it's okay to finish last, but when there's no effort involved, okay, when we have 50% of our schools classified as chronically absenteeism schools, and by definition that means half of the students have to be absent for 20 of the 180 days. Okay, so half of our schools have half of their students absent 20 days, and when we have 93% teachers, that's how much they show up, according to Mr. Payne in the Finance Committee meeting. Okay, so that's 7%. So that's of the 200 days, the 180 plus the 20. That's 14 days out a year. I haven't missed 14 days in 20 years. I think I've missed 11. I tried to count them. I don't know until I came down here. But this isn't vacation. So it's okay to finish last. My kids, I don't get mad if they finish last. But if they don't if there's no effort involved and you finish last, well, then it's a problem. And if we have this much absenteeism on both ends of the desk, then yes, there is a problem, and we shouldn't be last, and it needs to be fixed. And that's not what I wanted to say when I stood up. So now I'm going to get back. I'm not going to go. I think I'm happy we're taking out the 28 and going to 25 because most of the complaints that I heard personally were for that. And I've heard a lot of parents call me in favor of this bill, by the way. Okay, that's number one. Number two is it's the largest pay raise ever. In the last 2 years, the teacher pay raise we gave, I challenge anyone to find a decade, a 10-year period where we gave more money to teachers than we have in the last 2 years. I don't think you can. And if you do, you might find one, but I don't think you will. So we give more money to our educators in 2 years than any other body has done in a decade. To me, that's amazing, and that's undebatable, I think. Let me get back to why I stood up initially, and I'll be brief. First of all, everyone wants to talk about skipping the Finance Committee. I get calls on it. I've seen members comment that's been in this body for more than 10 years comment on we're skipping the Finance Committee. We're not skipping the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee is in this room, and there's more people. It's a better Finance Committee because it has 34 people, not 17. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that again because this needs to get out there. So anyone in here that has a recorder or a pen, please record it, write it down, tell your family and friends. You can snap it, you can tweet it, you can post it. The Finance Committee is happening. The committee as the whole is the Finance Committee. It's happening in here. Although I haven't heard the announcement, I would expect our finance chair to probably be presiding because he presides over the Finance Committee. I don't know that for sure. And people are going to testify. Everyone's going to have a right to ask questions. And this is going to be the Finance Committee. And then we'll get to hear the bill on the floor again as well. So the Finance Committee is happening. So please, people, get that out there. Please tell people that Finance Committee is happening, and it's happening in this room. Okay? And more people are going to be involved in the Finance Committee, and it's going to be a better Finance Committee. There's one thing I want to talk about, and I have a lot more here, but I'm going to skip just to one more point, and I'll save the rest because we've been in here for a long time today. But there's a part of this bill that nobody's talking about, that I've not heard one comment about, either in emails or phone calls or on the floor. And there's a provision in this bill that I feel like I would be remiss by not mentioning it as a Senate Health Chair. And that provision is for kids. It's for all the kids, all the children, because we have a problem in this state. We have broken homes, just like other states do. We have an opioid crisis, just like other states do. And we have kids that need extra services, more so today than 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This bill provides for every single school to hire some sort of child support personnel, a nurse, a guidance counselor, a psychologist, someone that's there to help the kid. Let's take a county. Let's pretend like we have a county that has 12 schools. So now we have 12 additional employees, which would be, I think, 650 across the state, by the way, but the county with 12. They might hire 4 nurses. They might hire 4 counselors. They might hire 4 psychologists. They might share them amongst the school system. And they're there for the kids for support. And in addition to that, this bill changes the definition of what that person does. And it just defines their role and takes out a previous provision that said, hey, 75% of your time is doing what you're supposed to be, doing what you're trained to do, taking care of kids. And the other 25%, you can check hall passes. No more of that. This is 100% of these people, these extra 650 employees across the state, helping our kids. Maybe they'll save a life. There's school violence. Maybe they'll save a whole bunch of lives one day. Maybe they'll promote a kid to go to college that otherwise wouldn't have. 4-year community technical college, whatever. Health and hygiene. Maybe they're going to help that kid with their health and their hygiene. That's possible. Maybe they're going to maybe there's a kid in a school today or 2 years ago that didn't have someone to talk to. And next thing you know, now they're one of the victims of the opioid crisis. Well, maybe we stop, maybe some of these personnel that we're hiring are going to help in that faction as well. I mean, that is a fantastic part of this bill that nobody wants to talk about, because we want to talk about going from 25 to 28, on those 12 classes that might have applied to, and that's okay. I'm glad we're taking that out. I was kind of against that myself. I'm glad it's coming out. It's a response to the outcry. But let's talk about this provision where we have 650 people out there helping kids 100% of the time, saving lives, potentially stopping addiction, putting people on the right path to go to college, serving as support for those kids. And I think we need to talk about that maybe a few more times before this bill gets voted on. Thank you, Mr. President.